ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं शरवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि वनन्ति भूरिदा जना. Your words are like nectar, bring life to scorched souls. They are praised by poets and remove all sin. They are auspicious to hear, wonderful and exalted. Those who spread these words throughout the world are truly giving souls. Welcome to our class on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We're on the chapter at the Star Theater. It's a long chapter, and it actually starts well before Sri Ramakrishna goes to the Star Theater. It began on page 532, September 19th, 1884, and it was in Mahalaya. So this is the period leading up to Durga Puja. And the actual day that we're on is Sunday, September 21st. And we're on page 550, the top left. And before this, Sri Ramakrishna was, where was he? With Mahendra Mukherjee, I think. Anyhow. About 5 o'clock that afternoon, Sri Ramakrishna was on his way to Calcutta. Mahendra Mukherjee, and a few other devotees accompanied him in Mahendra's carriage. Yeah, some of the devotees had their own carriages. Some of them would pay for the carriage hire. Some would call the other ones who had them. They had a little system there, but they were well-to-do. Mahendra and his brother, Priyanath, they had their own carriage. Thinking of God, the master soon went into an ecstatic mood. After a long time, he regained consciousness of the world. He observed, "That fellow Hazra dares teach me, the rascal." After a short pause, he said, "I shall drink some water." He often made such remarks in order to bring his mind down to the sense plane. Hazra, we know, was a man of various moods. That 1 minute he'll be criticizing Hazra will be criticizing Sri Ramakrishna and the young devotees. He doesn't tell them to do enough japa and other things, and he's more vijnani. And then the next minute he'll be so grateful to Sri Ramakrishna. Not that he recognizes him exactly, but sometimes grateful for keeping him there and everything. So he was one of these odd characters that's there just kind of to create a little side interest in the whole thing. Mahendra to M. May I get some refreshments for him? M. No, he won't eat anything now. Master, still in an ecstatic mood. Yeah, see, M is guessing, because very often Sri Ramakrishna would say something like that. I'll drink some water, I'll do this or that, to bring his mind back down a little bit. But here it seems like he really wants to eat something. Master, still in an ecstatic mood, I shall eat. Mahendra took the master to his flour mill located at Hatibagan. After a little rest, Sri Ramakrishna was to go to the theater. Mahendra did not care to take him to his own house, for the master was not well acquainted with his father. Priyanath, Mahendra's second brother, was also a devotee of the master. The reputation that Sri Ramakrishna had at that time was very different among different classes of people. So there were some who really thought that he was just a madman, or that he was just kind of the latest fad. There were some who didn't have a very high opinion of him. There were some who thought that he was a a great spiritual soul, but also a little bit eccentric. There were some who thought that he would turn the heads of all these young schoolboys and turn them into monks. So there were not everybody was impressed with him. Not everybody understood him. Very few, of course. And then there were the Brahmos, who were very devoted to him with the reservations, and then his own disciples. So perhaps the father wasn't so happy that the two sons were spending so much time with him, although Thakur will say nice things about him later. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on a cot over which a carpet had been spread and was engaged in spiritual talk. So they're now at the flour mill of Mahendra Mukherjee. Master to M and the others. Once, while listening to the various incidents of the life of Chaitanya, Hazra said that these were manifestations of Shakti, and that Brahman, the all-pervasive spirit, had nothing to do with them. But can there be Shakti without Brahman? Hazra wants to nullify the teachings of this place. So this was another example of how Hazra had his own ideas about things. The first part of what he says, that all these were manifestations of Shakti, Sri Ramakrishna agrees with that. He in other places he says the avatar and all of this, these are all manifestations of Shakti. But Hazra is trying to say that Brahman has nothing to do with it, and Sri Ramakrishna's main point is that there can't be Shakti unless it inheres in Brahman, and you can't have Brahman without that Shakti. This is one of the most important teachings that we have with Sri Ramakrishna. This is another way of saying that Brahman is both Nirguna and Saguna. Brahman is both beyond, transcended, not touched by anything, and also the repository of all powers and this power of creation, the Chit Shakti and other Shaktis and everything. I've realized that Brahman and Shakti are identical, like water and its wetness, like fire and its power to burn. Now, Sri Ramakrishna, he uses this expression either abhed or abhinno. He'll say abhed or abhinno with the Brahman and Shakti. Now, is a very maybe not important distinction, but there's a distinction here that Brahman and Shakti are not identical. Here, abhinna means that they're inseparable. He's not saying that we can somehow say that identify water and its wetness. They're two different things, but you can't have wetness without water. You can't have water without wetness. So they come together. You can't separate the two of them. Other times, when he's talking about Kali, or he's talking about Shakti as the Divine Mother, or as this Brahman, both Saguna and Nirguna, then they're identical. Then he's really saying that, like, as he says to Narendra, what you call Kali, I call it Brahman. Then there's no difference whatsoever. They're referring to the same divine power, which sometimes is transcendent and not involved in creation, and sometimes is the source of all the creation. So from that point of view, they're identical. This point of view that he's talking about now, they can't be separated. We can't say that something is the result of Shakti, say the avatar or this whole Leela, and say that Brahman has nothing to do with it. Brahman remains unchanged, but that Shakti inheres in Brahman, indistinguishable, not indistinguishable, inseparable. So from that point, as I say, it may not be a very big point, but I think we can understand better, because I used to wonder, how do we say that water and its whiteness are identical? That water and its wetness, sorry. They're not identical, but they can't be separated. You can't think of one without the other. You can't have one without the other. It's a very simple a substance and attribute idea, that you can't have a color that's not the color of something, and you can't have something that doesn't have a color. These two things have to go together. We won't identify the two, but they have to go together. But if we're talking about Nirguna Brahman and Saguna Brahman, then they're identical. They're not two separate things. Only Thakur says sometimes this Shakti is active and sometimes it's potential. That's all. Yeah, there's one little paragraph is so full of different things. I have realized that Brahman and Shakti are identical. I would prefer here inseparable, like water and its wetness, like fire and its power to burn. Brahman dwells in all beings as the Vibhu, the all-pervasive consciousness, though its manifestation is greater in some places than in others. Haja says further that anyone who realizes God must also acquire God's supernatural powers, that he possesses these powers, though he may or may not use them. Now, we get this idea of all-pervasive consciousness. And again, there are different, quite different ways to understand all of this. See, when we think of something pervading something else, what do we think of? Say salt and salt water. That means you can't find any. You put some salt and water, and it'll disperse. And we find this in the Upanishads. This example that you taste it anywhere, it'll taste of salt. Here we have two things. If we take it that way, then we have this material universe here, and it's pervaded by consciousness. Now, what does that mean? That we cut it open, and every atom there'll be consciousness is a very difficult concept, to really grasp what that means. We have an idea of all pervasiveness in the Upanishads, which is a little bit different, quite different actually. The same way that gold pervades all gold objects. That means there's nothing but gold. Or this example, if you have a cloth, what is a cloth? It's just threads. Some go this way, some go this way, warp and woof. That there's really nothing other than the thread. So that's really not that there's a cloth that's different from thread, and thread pervades that cloth. It is that. So then this question comes up, that are we really talking about consciousness now? And do we distinguish between consciousness and conscious? See, some people, they'll ask, does that mean that every object has consciousness or is conscious, or consciousness is the ground of it? These are all tricky. If we really have an inquisitive mind, they're very tricky questions. Yeah. So I was thinking there are different schools of Vedanta, all different ideas, and one distinguishes between this Bahiranga Shakti and Antaranga Shakti. The Bahiranga Shakti is responsible for this visible universe, and that is the Sat aspect of Brahman. Not necessarily that it's the all conscious entities, but the ground, that existence is all traceable back to that one Brahman in the form of Sat. In the form of this Jiva Shakti or Antaranga Shakti, then that's the divine presence dwelling within everything. So say, now look at the distinction that Sri Ramakrishna, sometimes he says, I see everything made of consciousness, Chinmaya. Other times he says, I see consciousness dwelling within everything. And that time he's looking at the human body. He's not saying, I see the body as consciousness. I see consciousness dwelling within the body as like a pillowcase. So these are all different ways we can easily understand how consciousness is manifested in all beings that have some ability to have conscious life. That one sun is being reflected in all these different types of containers, and this is how Thakur can say Brahman dwells in all beings as a Vibhu, the all-pervasive consciousness, though its manifestation is greater in some places than in others. Now, if we're talking about this consciousness dwelling within all living beings, then it'll be greater in a great soul. It'll be greater if there's more sattva that way. If we're talking about this Brahman manifests as this entire universe, then there's also a gradation. We have this or Vibhuti yoga, that if you want to know what it's like for Brahman to manifest as a mountain, go to the Himalayas. That there will be a greater manifestation that way. Actually, equal manifestation, but some we can see the greatness. So we can say equal manifestation in a small wave and a huge wave, but the huge wave we see that Shakti, the power of the whole ocean. So anyhow, this is that just in this one sentence, or two sentences, I've realized that Brahman and Shakti are inseparable, let's say, like water and its wetness, fire and its power to burn. Brahman dwells in all beings. See, sometimes they'll say Brahman manifests as all beings. Both are true for Sri Ramakrishna. This is from that point of view where we take everything as kind of face value, and within all beings will be all conscious living beings. Within animals and within plants also as life, within inanimate objects perhaps just as existence. But Brahman dwells in all beings as the Vibhuti, all-pervasive consciousness, though its manifestation is greater in some places than in others. So Sri Ramakrishna sometimes would say that the difference in manifestation is different in Shakti and power. And then we get this funny statement. Maharaj says, further, anyone who realizes God must also acquire God's supernatural powers, that he possesses these powers, though he may or may not use them. M. Yes, one must have control over these supernatural powers. All laugh. Master smiling. Yes, one must have them in one's grasp. How mean? He who has never enjoyed power and riches becomes impatient for them, but a true devotee never prays to God for them. Now, this is another interesting point, that we'll have some great souls who grow up in poverty and lead a very simple type of life, and the whole mind is dedicated to God from childhood. Then we'll have others that always will have a little hankering for some enjoyment. This is why Swamiji says that there should be some enjoyment, and the renunciation of a pauper and the renunciation of a king are two different things. They have to have something to give up. Yeah. And also Swamiji says that for the poor, let them have some enjoyment, even luxury, he says, yeah, so that they can finish with all of that. So sometimes we'll see that those who have never enjoyed these things have some little hankering for them, just even if it's just curiosity. While some who've enjoyed everything, then they're done with it. They're finished with it. Problem is that those who enjoy everything have a little of some samskara remained for more enjoyment. And those who have never enjoyed it, it's a little desire maybe there. But they don't have that samskara. So we see this also of those who join the order, that some at young age, very pure, never mixed with anything, and they don't have these haven't developed these bad samskaras, and they're very pure, but they may have some little hidden desire or curiosity. And then others, they've seen it all and they've no interest in anything, but the old samskara may be there. So it's
desire will be a samskara.
a desire will be a samskara, of course. It comes from it. Yeah. See, the vasana, samskara, the vasana is just a different type of samskara. So some desire, it comes from, it can come from either not having enjoyed something, the desire, or from having enjoyed it. If we've never enjoyed it, we'll be curious about it. We'll see other people will think how nice it would be. If we'd enjoyed it, and then we'll think it'd be nice to do it again. So both ways. But those whose minds are very pure, they won't care for these things. Yeah. So Thakur says, he who has never enjoyed power and riches becomes impatient for them, but a true devotee never prays to God for them. As Sri Ramakrishna washed his face, a smoke was prepared for him. He said to M, "Is it dusk now? If it is, I won't smoke. During the twilight hours of the dusk, you should give up all other activities and remember God." No. This is something that uh, I remember when I read it for the first time. It really struck me very strongly somehow. I was at that time still uh, student doing graduate studies, and I remember Thakur says in several places a little bit different. Shondabalai shokaj chare ishure shoran korbe. Yeah, as soon as the sun goes down, give up all your other work. So I made it a practice when, at least when I was a student at that time, I'd finish all my homework and everything before the sun went down. Yeah, I didn't do anything afterwards. I would sing my Arati songs all by myself. I would meditate, cook a little dinner, read the gospel until I went to sleep. I did that every night, and it was really a joyful thing. Yeah, I also during that time I learned the joy of solitude because I lived alone at that time, and so yeah, sometimes we read something and it leaves a very deep impression. Yeah, that was one of the things. Yes, of course, now I don't follow it so much anymore. But when we're enthusiastic, when we're young, we really try to follow these things. And Thakur would do that sometimes. If he could count the hairs or see the hairs on his hand, that means that there's enough sunlight that it's still daytime. If he couldn't count them, that means that the sun it was dark and it was yeah, it was dusk then. About 8:30 in the evening, the carriage with the master and the devotees drew up in front of the Star Theatre on Beaton Street. He was accompanied by M, Baburam, Mahendra, and 2 or 3 others. They were talking about engaging seats when Girish Chandra Ghosh, the manager of the theater, not just manager of the theater, for the writer of the play they're going to see, and very often acted in them in a different place, accompanied by several officials, came out to the carriage, greeted the master, and took him and the party upstairs. Girish had heard of the master and was very glad to see him at the theater. The master was conducted to one of the boxes. M sat next to him. Baburam and 1 or 2 devotees sat behind. Now, Girish actually saw Sri Ramakrishna. I'm assuming it was before this. And it was just like Narendra. The first meeting with Sri Ramakrishna wasn't anything so earth shaking. He was called to sing in devotee's house, and they met, and Thakur said, "Yeah, come to see me sometime in Dakshineswar." And then when he went there, then everything happened. This first time we read that Girish wasn't at all impressed with Sri Ramakrishna, that he was asking is it day or night, similar type of thing. And he thought, what pretense? He can see it's still light out. It's that he's asking a question like that. So he wasn't very impressed with him. I'm assuming that had to have been before this. So he not only knew about him and heard about him, but probably had seen him, at least that one time. Anyhow, it says Girish had heard of the master and was very glad to see him at the theater. The master was conducted to one of the boxes. M sat next to him. Baburam and 1 or 2 devotees sat behind. Now, one other thing we notice here, we may say that Girish underwent a complete change of character after meeting Sri Ramakrishna, but he's writing these spiritual plays before. So he had that also, that sensitivity towards spiritual things. He wasn't doing it just to make money. He wrote all sorts of other types of plays, but he wrote so many things about Prahlada and Dhruva and Buddha, of course. So at the same time he's writing all of these plays, he's out drinking and carousing, doing all sorts of things, because he had a little bit of a split personality that way, that he had tremendous faith and devotion and strength of character and everything. At the same time, a very weak type of character and tremendous desire to enjoy all of the pleasures of life, so-called pleasures of life, drinking and carousing and everything. The master was conducted to one of the boxes. M sat next to him. Baburam and one or two devotees sat behind. The hall was brilliantly lighted, and the master looked down at the pit and saw that it was crowded. The boxes also were full. For every box, there was a man to fan those who occupied it. Yeah, sometimes we see these very old movies, not just fans, but some great big huge thing, and they're pulling a big rope. The whole thing goes back and forth and everything. Yeah, I don't know what it was then, but anyhow, it was must have been quite a sight to see. So Girish even then was quite well known. There's so many people going and everything. Star Theater was really his creation almost. Sri Ramakrishna was filled with joy and said to M, with his childlike smile, "Ah, it is very nice here. I'm glad to have come. I feel inspired when I see so many people together." He used to say that when he went to the Maidan and other places. There's a huge crowd of people. He would feel inspired. Yeah. We think, what a nuisance, so many people. And his mind would just go, yeah, seeing that consciousness throbbing through each and every living thing. That was the way his mind worked. I feel inspired when I see so many people together. Then I clearly perceive that God himself has become everything. You see, both things. God has become everything, and God dwells within everything, and God pervades everything. All slightly different points of view, but the real thing is that this seeing everything as Chinmaya, as consciousness. And this is with the mind raised to a completely different level. This isn't for the philosopher. This is for the mystics, to understand these things. How Thakur could see everything, and just like artificial fruit, we know that everything is wax, all one substance. He knows everything is nothing but Brahman, one substance. So then I clearly perceive that God himself has become everything. M. It is true, sir. Master, how much will they charge us here? M. They won't take anything. They're very happy that you have come to the theater. Master, it is all due to the grace of the Divine Mother. The Chaitanya Leela was about to be performed. So this is what I was saying, that he brought a great deal of spirituality and stories, Puranic stories and other things, life of Buddha, to the public through his plays. Especially the life of Buddha was not so well known in those days. And mostly it was taken from Sir Edwin Arnold's The Light of Asia. That was a well-known book at that time. So he had an influential role on the Calcutta society at that time. The Chaitanya Leela was about to be performed. It was a play about the early life of Sri Chaitanya, who was also known as Nimai, Gaur, Gora, and Gauranga. The curtain rose. The attention of the audience was fixed on the stage. The first scene depicts a council of sin and the six passions on a forest path. Behind them walk Viveka, Vairagya, and Bhakti. Discrimination, dispassion, and devotion, engaged in conversation. Bhakti says to her companions, Gauranga is born in Nadia. Nodi is a name for Navadvip. Therefore, the Vidyadharis, these are demigoddesses, it says, the Munis and the Rishis have come down to earth in disguise to pay their respects to him. She sings, blessed indeed is the earth, and Goda is born in Nodia. Behold, the Vidyadharis coming in chariots to adore him. Behold, the Munis and Rishis who come, allured by the spell of love. These are all songs that Girish wrote. The Vidyadharis, Munis, and Rishis sing a hymn to Gauranga and adore him as an incarnation of God. Sri Ramakrishna watched the scene and was overpowered with divine ecstasy. Now we have to remember that earlier Sri Ramakrishna went to Navadvip. He had that vision of the two boys, this is, Chaitanya Deva and Nityananda, and had a very deep conviction that Chaitanya Deva was a divine incarnation. Sri Ramakrishna watched the scene and was overpowered with divine ecstasy. He said to him, look at it, ah, ah. Now more songs, sages. O Keshava, bestow thy grace upon thy luckless servants here. O Keshava, who dost delight to roam Vrindavan's glades and groves. Now this is a very typical thing of the Chaitanya school, that he'll often be addressed as Sri Krishna himself. And even the questions, oh, why are you not in Vrindavan? Why are you now here? And yeah, there's some confusion that well, where is your companions, Suridama and Sudama and everything, and how have they changed? And now, because the conviction was so strong among them, and now, according to this play, even the sages, that it was Krishna himself there. Goddess, O Madhava, all names of Krishna, our mind's bewitcher, sweet one, who does steal our hearts, sweetly playing on thy flute. So again, all references to Krishna himself. Chorus, chant, O mind, the name of Hari, sing aloud the name of Hari, praise Lord Hari's name. Sages, O thou eternal youth of Raja, tamer of fierce Kalia, slayer of the afflicted fear. All references to Krishna. Goddesses, beloved with the arching eyes and crest with arching peacock feather, charmer of Shri Radha's heart. Sages, Govardhan's mighty lifter thou, all garlanded with sylvan flowers. O Damodara, Kamsa scourge. Goddess, O dark one, who dost sport in bliss with sweet Vrindavan's gopi maids. Chorus, chant, O mind, the name of Hari, sing aloud the name of Hari, praise Lord Hari's name. As the Vidyadhari sang the lines, beloved with the arching eyes and crest with arching peacock feather, the master went into deep samadhi. The orchestra played on, but he was not aware of the outer world. Another scene. A guest has arrived at the house of Jagannath Mishra, Nimai's father. The boy Nimai plays about, singing with his friends in a happy mood. Yet Jagannath Mishra and his wife, Sochi, they were living in East Bengal, Sylhet district. And while she was carrying Chaitanya Deva, while she was pregnant, then they moved from there to this Navadvip area. I don't know why exactly, but the house of Jagannath Mishra, some bricks are still left there. That place, Dhakadokin. Yeah, so I've been several times. Yeah, and now there's a big temple and everything there. So our Chaitanya Deva was Sylheti. Probably spoke Sylheti at home. Yeah. I have a little prejudice bias towards Sylhetis because my Gurudev was Sylheti. Yeah, I'm saying Swami Swananda, my Gurudev. Yeah. So a guest has arrived at the house of Jagannath Mishra, Nimai's father. The boy Nimai plays about, singing with his friends in a happy mood. Tell me, where's my blessed Vrindavan? So the same theme, as if he himself is confused. You know, I'm used to grazing cows and Vrindavan and everything. Yeah, it's very interesting. Where is my blessed Vrindavan? Where is Mother Yashoda? Where Father Nanda and Brother Balai? Where my twin cows, black and white? Tell me, where is my magic flute? My friends Sudama and Shridama? Where my Jamuna's bank, my banyan? Where my beloved gopi maids? Where is Radha, queen of my heart? The guest closes his eyes while offering food to the Lord. Nimai runs to him and eats the food from the plate. The guest recognizes Nimai as an incarnation of God and seeks to please him with the hymn of the 10 incarnations. Before taking leave of Gauranga's parents, he sings, Glory to Gaura, the source of bliss. Hail Gauranga, Redeemer of earth, help of the helpless, life of the living, slayer of fear in the hearts of the fearful. Age after age we see thy play. New sports unfolding, moods ever new waves rolling, new tales to be told. Thou who bearest the whole world's burden, shower on us the nectar of love. Take away our grief and affliction. Thou in love's pleasure cave dost dwell, hope of the suffering, chastiser of sin, scourge of the wicked, victory to thee. Listening to the hymn, the master was thrilled with ecstasy. The next scene is at Navadvip on the bank of the Ganges. After bathing in the holy water, the Brahmin men and women engage in worship by the riverside. As they close their eyes, Nimai steals their food offerings and begins to eat them. Yeah, we see that same kind of mischievousness that we find in this Krishna Leela. A Brahmin loses his temper and says, You scapegrace, you rascal, you are taking away my offering for Vishnu. Ruin will seize you. Nimai holds on to the offering and is about to run away. Many of the women love him dearly and cannot bear to have him go away. They call to him, Return, O Nimai, come back, O Nimai. Nimai turns a deaf ear to them. One of the women, however, knows the irresistible charm that will bring him back. She loudly chants the name of Hari. Immediately, he repeats the name of Hari and comes back. And was seated beside the master. Sri Ramakrishna could not control himself. He cried out, Ah, and shed tears of love. He said to Baburam and M, Don't make a fuss if I fall into an ecstatic mood or go into samadhi. Then the worldly people will take me for a cheat. Another scene. Nimai is invested with the sacred thread of the Brahmins. Sorry. He puts on the traditional ochre robe of the sannyasi. Mother Sachi and the women of the neighborhood stand about while he begs for alms, singing. Is this a tradition that's done sometimes to wear an ochre cloth at the time of Upanayana?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Huh. Shave the head. Yeah, those things I know. See, this Upanaya ceremony is the same as our Brahmacharya ceremony. Yeah, where we, of course, were white at that time. So he puts on the traditional ochre robe of the sannyasi. Mother Sachi and the women of the neighborhood stand about while he begs for alms, singing. Drop a morsel of food, I pray, into my begging bowl. Alone I roam, a new-made yogi on the highways of the world. People of Raja, you I love, and so time and again I come to you. At hunger's call, I beg my food from door to door. The sun is low, and I must seek my home on the Jamuna's bank. Into its waters fall my tears, as onward murmuring it flows. Yet this I we don't know what different stages that he went through, but when he gets a little bit older, uh, if it's true that he really overcome with the spirituality and everything, if it's true, then everything changes later, because we know him as a very proud pundit that with no interest in religion at all, and he used to make fun of all of the others. This Advaita and others, they would run away when they saw him. He was really so sharp with his criticism of them and everything until he had this kind of conversion. So poetic license. I don't know, or if 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 he really felt like that at the time. The onlookers leave the stage. Nimai stands alone. The gods, in the guise of Brahmin, men and women, sing his praises. Men, thy body gleams like liquid moonlight. Thou hast put on man's dwarfish form. O Lord, thee we salute. Women, bewitcher of the gopis' hearts, thou roamest in the shady groves about Vrindavan's vale. Nimai, hail Sri Radha, glory to Radha. Men, the youths of Braja are thy friends. Thou curbest haughty Madan's pride. Women, thy love has made the gopis mad. In ecstasy, the Yamuna thrills. Men, Narayana, deluder of demons, refuge of the fear-stricken gods. Women, O lover of Braja, thou dost beg the love of Braja's comely maidens. Nimai, hail Sri Radha, glory to Radha. Listening to the music, the master went into samadhi. This is, in Greek drama, there's always a Greek chorus that they'll be singing things on the side and observing. This is a similar type of idea. Listening to the music, the master went into samadhi. The curtain fell and the orchestra played on. A new scene. The Shrivas and other devotees are engaged in conversation in front of Advaita's house. The Shrivas, he is very well known in the tradition because he had a big courtyard and they used to go and do kirtan at that time. So there are many references to that. Mukunda sings, sleep no more. How long will you lie in Maya's slumber locked, O mind? Who are you? Why have you been born? Forgotten is your own true self. O mind, unclose your eyes at last and awake yourself from evil dreams. A fool you are to bind yourself so to the passing shows of life, when when in you lives eternal bliss. Come out of the gloom, O foolish mind. Come out and hail the rising sun. Sri Ramakrishna praised the voice of the singer highly. Another scene. Nimai is staying at home. Shrivas comes to visit him. First, he meets Shakti. That's Chaitanya Dev's mother. The mother weeps and says, my son doesn't attend to his household duties. Okay, so this is after what happened in his life. As I say, he became the best Sanskrit pundit and this Navadvip was famous for Sanskrit studies as Navanyaya, the well-known, the greatest pundits were there. He was chief among all of them, and everyone was afraid of him, that he would find mistakes in the other pundits with the poems that they wrote and everything like that. Then his father died, and he went to Gaya, just like Sri Ramakrishna. There's a connection with the Gaya. He went to Gaya to do the Shraddha ceremony, and there he happened to meet this Ishwara Puri. Ishwara Puri, somehow the death of his father. We know that very often that makes one question what is the meaning of life and value of life. Somehow the combination of that and meeting this great saintly figure, Ishwara Puri, created some change in his mind, and he was initiated into some Gopala mantra, don't know. They say 10 syllables, Gopalamata. I don't know what it is exactly. And came back and they were completely changed. No one could believe it. They thought he's teasing them or playing with them. Completely changed. So this will be that period. Nimai is staying at home. Shrivas comes to visit him. First, he meets Sachi. The mother weeps and says, "My son doesn't attend to his household duties. My eldest son, Vishwarupa, has renounced the world." Yeah, and all the other children had died somehow. So now he's the only one at home, the youngest of all. And my heart has ached ever since. Yeah, there's this Nimai Sannyas that some kind of Jatra play that's put on. People cry like anything. Yeah, we had it performed here once. You remember that? Or what's her name? Did it once? Wandira. Yeah. She performed it once in that community center. Yeah, many at the very beginning, 25 years ago. My eldest son, Vishwarupa, has renounced the world, and my heart has ached ever since. Now I fear that Nimai will follow in his steps. Yeah, he was given this name Nimai because he was supposed to have been born under a neem tree. So he got that nickname. Nimai arrives. Shachi says to Shrivas, "Look at him. Tears run down his cheeks and breast. Tell me how I can free him from these notions." At the sight of Shrivas, Nimai clings to his feet and says, with eyes full of tears, "Ah me, revered sir, I have not yet attained devotion to Krishna." And now he has this tremendous humility, and he was so proud before. It's hard for them to understand how it's possible. "Futile is this wretched life. Tell me, sir, where is Krishna? Where shall I find Krishna?" See, everyone else identifies him with Krishna. He's trying to find Krishna. "Give me the dust of your feet with your blessings, that I may realize the blue one with the garland of wild flowers hanging about his neck." Sri Ramakrishna looked at M. He was eager to say something, but he could not. His voice was choked with emotion. The tears ran down his cheeks. With unmoving eyes, he watched Nimai clinging to Srivasa's feet and saying, "Sir, I have not yet attained devotion to Krishna." And back to the play. Nimai has opened a school, but he cannot teach the students any longer. Gangadas, his former teacher, comes to persuade him to direct his attention to his worldly duties. He says to Shrivas, "Listen, Shrivas, we are Brahmins too and devoted to the worship of Vishnu, but you people are ruining Nimai's worldly prospects." Master 2M. See, he was also married. That he was his first wife died, snakebite early, and then Vishnu Priya, the second marriage, and he's not yet 24 years old. No. Master 2M. That is the advice of the worldly wise. Do this as well as that. When the worldly man teaches spirituality, he always advises a compromise between the world and God. Now, of course, Sri Ramakrishna would tell his household disciples, "Yeah, hold on to this as well as to that. And then when your worldly duties are finished, then hold on to God with both hands." So, but this is not the advice that Thakur would give somebody who's young and ready to renounce the world. Yes, sir, that is true. Gangadas continues his argument with Nimai. He says, "Nimai, undoubtedly you are versed in the scriptures. Reason with me. Explain to me if any duty is superior to worldly duties. You are a householder. Why disregard the duties of a householder and follow others' duties?" Yeah, there's a little bit like that conversation between Rama and Vashishta, where Rama wants to renounce the world, and he says, "You tell me if God is outside of the world, then you can renounce the world." So he tried to convince him not to. Master 2M, did you notice? He's trying to persuade Nimai to make a compromise. M. Yes, sir. Nimai says to Gangadas, I am not willfully indifferent to a householder's duties. On the contrary, it is my desire to hold to all sides. But, revered sir, I don't know what it is that draws me on. I don't know what to do. I want to cling to the shore, but I cannot. My soul wanders away. I am helpless. My soul constantly wants to plunge headlong into the boundless ocean. There's another kind of traditional belief that at this point also, the Chaitanya Deva, he has some epiphany, we can say, that he's born for the welfare of the world somehow, whether we say avatar or not, and that he won't be able to accomplish the mission he's born for unless he becomes a sannyasi. That becomes a conviction with him also. But more than that, he's just, yeah, this is what happens when real vairagya comes. It'll just pull one away from the world. So he says, my soul constantly wants to plunge headlong into the boundless ocean. Master, ah me. The scene changes. Nityananda has arrived at Navadvip. After a search, he meets Nimai. Now it's as if these two, like Krishna and Balarama, these two are destined to be intertwined in this Leela, and as if he's been waiting for him. After a search, he meets Nimai, who in turn has been seeking him. When they meet, Nimai says to him, Blessed is my life, fulfilled is my dream. You visited me in a dream and then disappeared. Now, the very curious thing about this Nityananda is that he was asked by Chaitanya Deva to become a householder. He was already leading a monastic life, but somehow to set an example, or that his lineage would be one line of the Goswamis of the order for some reason. Otherwise, Nityananda, Chaitanya Deva, he held the life of renunciation to be the highest ideal, at least as much as Sri Ramakrishna did, if not more. Yeah, but their tradition became more of a householder tradition somehow. So this Nityananda, his son, Virabhadra, he became the main person afterwards. So some lineage came through that. Nimai, in an ecstatic mood, is in an ecstatic mood and becomes engaged in conversation with Advaita, Shrivas, Haridas, and other devotees. Nitai, that's Nityananda, sings a song suited to Nimai's mood. So they became known as Nimai and Nitai. Where is Krishna? Where is my Krishna? He is not in the grove, dear friends. Give me Krishna, bring me my Krishna. Radha's heart knows naught but him. At this song, Sri Ramakrishna went into samadhi. He remained in that state a long time. The orchestra played on. Gradually, his mind came down to the relative plane. In the meantime, a young man of Khurda, born in the holy family of Nityananda, had entered the box. Yeah. So they're all of the descendants of Nityananda, the descendants of Vishnu Priya's family, the descendants of Advaita's family. They all became the gurus of their tradition, the Goswamis. Yeah. So to meet somebody who comes from the family of Nityananda, Sri Ramakrishna had such reverence for these Goswamis. Yeah. Yeah. And Holy Mother would touch their feet, even the priests and other things. Yeah, part of course, her humility. So a young man of Khurda, born in the holy family of Nityananda, had entered the box. He was standing behind the master's chair. Sri Ramakrishna was filled with delight at the sight of him. He held his hand and talked to him affectionately. Every now and then he said, Please sit down here. Your very presence awakens my spiritual feeling. He played tenderly with the young man's hands and lovingly stroked his face. After he had left, Sri Ramakrishna said to him, He is a great scholar. So he knew him. He knows his family. He knows his Korda area. He knows that Shamsun, he used to go there. Uh, it is not far from our Rahora center. Yeah. And this Akshay Chaitanya, was Holy Mother's disciple, who wrote so many wonderful things and everything. He had his ashram right there also, that same area. So Thakur is explaining to him, he is a great scholar. His father is a great devotee of God. When I go to Korda to visit Sham Sundar, so this is where the temple, and I think when they went to Panihati, they would go there also, part of that trip. To visit Sham Sundar, the father entertains me with sacred offerings, such as one cannot buy even for 100 rupees. The young man has good traits. A little shaking will awaken his inner spirit. At the sight of him, my spiritual mood is aroused. I should have been overwhelmed with ecstasy if he had stayed here a little longer. The play is still going on while all this is happening. The curtain rises. Nityananda is, or was in between acts. Nityananda is walking in a procession on the public road with his companions, chanting the name of Hari. He meets two ruffians. This is one of the major themes in the life of Chaitanya Dev, Jagadai and Madhai, who were sworn enemies of all religious people. Madhai strikes Nitai with a piece of broken pottery. Nitai is hurt and bleeds profusely, but he pays no heed, inebriated as he is with the love of God. And Sri Ramakrishna was in an ecstatic mood. Nitai embraces both Jagai and Madhai. Of course, they'll become followers. And sings a song to the two ruffians. Jagai, Madhai, oh, come and dance, chanting Hari's name with fervor. What does it matter that you struck me? Dance, dear friends, in Hari's name. Sing the name of our beloved. He will embrace you in love's rapture. Let the heavens resound with his name. You have not tasted true emotion. Weep as you chant the name of Hari, and you will see the moon of your soul. Hari's name would I lovingly give you. Nitai calls you to share his love. Nimai speaks to Shakti of his desire to enter the monastic life, his mother. His mother faints and falls to the ground. At this point, many in the audience burst into tears. Sri Ramakrishna remained still and looked intently at the stage. A single tear appeared in the corner of each eye. The performance was over. Sri Ramakrishna was about to enter a carriage. A devotee asked him how he had enjoyed the play. The master said with a smile, I found the representation the same as the real. He used to use this expression. Yeah. He used to say, yeah, just like seeing this artificial fruit, you think of the real fruit. And people would say, some women of ill fame, playing the role even of Chaitanya. He said, no, to me, I saw the Lord himself there. The carriage proceeded toward Mahendra's mill. Suddenly, Sri Ramakrishna went into an ecstatic mood and murmured to himself in loving tones, Oh Krishna, oh Krishna. Krishna is knowledge. Krishna is soul. Krishna is mind. Krishna is life. Krishna is body. He continued, O Govinda, thou art my life. Thou art my soul. The carriage reached the mill. Mahendra fed the master tenderly with the various dishes. M sat by his side. Affectionately, he said to M, Here, eat a little. He put some sweets in his hands. The carriage reached the mill. Mahendra fed the master tenderly with the various dishes. M sat by his side. Affectionately, he said to M, Here, eat a little. He put some sweets in his hands. With Mahendra and a few other devotees, Sri Ramakrishna left in the carriage for the Dakshineswar temple garden. The master was in a happy mood. He sang a song about Gauranga and Nitai. M sang with him. Unusual. It was so shy. And M sang with him. Gaud and Nitai, ye blessed brothers, I've heard how kind you are, and therefore I have come to you. The master and Mahendra talked about the latter's intended pilgrimage. Master smiling. The divine love in you is barely a sprout now. Why should you let it wither? But come back very soon. Sri Ramakrishna said nothing against pilgrimage, but he knew that now the holy company would be far more important for Mahendra to stay and have his company. Why should you let it wither? But come back very soon. Many a time I have thought of visiting your place. At last I have done it. I am so happy. Mahendra, my life is indeed blessed, sir. Master, you will already blessed. Your father is also a good man. I saw him the other day. He has faith in the Adhyatma Ramayana. Mahendra, please bless me that I may have love for God. Master, you are generous and artless. One cannot realize God without sincerity and simplicity. God is far, far away from the crooked heart. Near Shambazar, Mahendra bade the master goodbye, and the carriage continued on its way. Yeah, this is probably the most important part of this whole chapter. One cannot realize God without sincerity and simplicity. God is far, far away from the crooked heart. So, this is the end of this chapter at the Star Theater. Next time, we'll begin on page 558. This is chapter 29, the Durga Puja festival. Om Niranjanam Nityamanantarupam Bhaktanukham Bhatudha Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidhyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namama. We bow our heads before Sri Ramakrishna, who is stainless, of infinite nature, whose heart melts in sympathy for his devotees, who is an embodiment of the divine and the Supreme Lord, and ever worthy of our worship. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be to all. Okay. Thank you, everyone. And we will meet again next time.